are live. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Beer Guys Radio, episode 298. Brian, is it?
Probably 8. I think by the math that we've discussed before. Yes, I believe 8 would make sense.
That means 300 is coming really soon.
That's right.
300 shows. That's big stuff. So our guest this week is Youngwon Lee, founder, owner of Dokkaebier, Korean-inspired, influenced craft beer. Thanks for joining us, Youngwon. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very excited to be a part of this show today.
Absolutely. Me too. You know, I love talking to all breweries, of course, but I always like something unique and different to put a little different spin on things. So really looking forward to chatting with you, about your beer, your background, the interesting ingredients.
These days with everybody being so experimental all the time, finding something that's truly unique is a little difficult.
It is.
I mean, there's a lot of we're unique, just like everybody else type of situation.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I absolutely love classic beer styles, classic European styles. But if you tell us that, we like to brew an IPA and a classic European styles, and we like local ingredients and local flavor. That's not unique. I'm not hating on anybody, but these are not unique characteristics.
It's a good thing, but that's embraced widely.
It is. It is. Yeah. I want to give Youngwon a shout out for just the absolute brilliance of his video feed. Just the scene that he's got there and the sharpness. He's ready for business.
He's outclassed us, actually. His video is actually better than ours.
He showed us up there.
That was actually a sign at our tap room pop-up store. And then with the pandemic, I brought it over here. And then, we're doing all these Zoom calls nowadays. And I figured, I think it's better to have a neon light than a virtual background.
It is. That looks great. I've seen we need some neon. Or
that's a good idea.
Another thing I've seen, you've probably seen these too, Youngwon. It's like a 10-tacker sign, but it's layered. And they'll put the neon or the lights behind it so it kind of glows around those edges and that.
Those are cool. I do like that. Yeah. We should get to what do they call it? The undercarriage lighting for the table.
Get some ground effects.
For our table. Yeah. And some spinners for the legs. Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna need a disco ball.
That's right. Well, I mean, we could do that. I think we could figure out a way to rig one up. Yeah. This is gonna be. It'll be amazing.
You've inspired us, Youngwon. We're gonna pretty much have a nightclub in the studio here before long.
Exactly.
It'd be a good time. Yes. Awesome. Well, excuse me. We're gonna get started here. If you're just joining us, if you got any questions or comments for us or for Dokkaebier, leave them there. We'll be back to chat with you when we go on break. Right, Nate? No, Mike. Nate is being extra quiet today. I'm not sure he said a single word. Is there a vow of silence? No, I'm just tired. Just tired? It happens, man. It's Wednesday. Hump day. Right. Yeah. All right. Cool. Youngwon, you ready to do this?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's go.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios in Marietta, Georgia. And this week, we're talking to Dokkaebier. I'm Tim Dennis, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Brian Hewitt.
Hey, Tim. So joining us today, we have Youngwon Lee, the CEO and founder of Dokkaebier. We're going to talk about all the typical beer stuff, kimchi, bamboo, fish sauce, the usual, All kidding aside, we're talking about unusual ingredients and Korean-inspired beers. Youngwon, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation today.
Absolutely. We're sipping a bamboo Pilsner right now. And Youngwon, I think you said this has some bamboo tea in it that does contain bamboo leaves, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Interesting, man. It's great. It's a very tasty Pilsner.
Now, is this tea something that you would normally consume, outside of a beer form, or is it?
It's a pretty common, and literally the name is bamboo leaf tea. So we make a hot tea out of that. But we've done also a couple of series of Pilsner with different types of tea. So we've done Grand Kimin black tea as well as Malty Assam. It's always really fun to brew that with kind of a Pilsner style beers.
Now, what is the really smoke? Is it Lapsang Souchong? Is that the smoked tea, or
I'm no
Is
tea
that-
expert, but
does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Are you a tea expert, Youngwon? Are you big on teas?
I'm
No?
just getting into it and then learning
Okay,
one by one.
yeah.
Because I wanted to make beer out of it, I've been just starting to learn how all these different types of teas are. There are.
Sure. That's, I love any hobby that has layers to it like that. In tea, there's just, crazy stuff. I know there's one called Pu'er,
Pu'er. Okay.
and they pack it in like bricks or cakes. It's pressed. And there's certain ones that they press them so tight that it becomes like a plaque, and you don't even drink the tea. It just becomes a display, kind of an artwork thing.
Oh,
But
okay.
It's kind of neat.
What I really liked, and I couldn't tell you if the flavors were good or not because I'm not a big tea person, but there was a blooming tea where they had blossoms that
Like
actually
floral?
flowered
Yeah.
as I wasn't brewing them properly, but I really enjoyed looking at it. To me,
Yeah.
it tasted a lot like vegetable material, but
Okay.
I thought it looked cool. It was a very interesting thing. There used to be chains of tea places in the malls. And
Yes,
so I'd go
yeah.
in there and get something for the wife. She loves tea, so that was an easy thing. I wound up drinking most of them because I liked it.
I've seen where they have like clear glass teapots for those blooming teas. You'll put the ball in there and it opens up like a flower. So you get the display, the tea, everything.
I had one that had multiple like little flowers chained together and they floated up towards the top.
That's insane.
It was very cool. I can't even imagine.
Now, see, Youngwon, again, we tell everyone on this, we do not charge for our consultancy fees when you're on the show. So all the great ideas we share with you, you're free to use. So you can release a beer in a clear bottle. And when they pop the cap, the fizz blooms the tea.
There you go. Yeah, get it to blossom. Yeah, they can
Yes.
sit there and look
Yeah.
at it, and then they can drink
Yeah.
it once it's fully
gonna be
blossomed. It'll be
beautiful,
amazing.
Beautiful, crazy. Have you ever had any issues getting any label approval? I think you'd actually mentioned to us before we came on the air. You're in state right now, so you haven't had to mess with that as much. Is that right?
Not yet. Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, I know expansion is always a good thing, but you definitely add new layers of challenges to things there. And that's like Brian found out recently. Brian, you found a story about a little kerfuffle in the UK, right?
That's right. Yeah, the UK Metro Police have cited Mikkeller beer for appealing to children with their Side Eyes Pale Ale. It's got can art that's kind of cartoony, but it's kind of typical Mikkeller art. It's all of it's been done by an artist out of Philadelphia named Keith Shore, and they're saying that the artwork features an illustration of two figures, and they criticize that for having multiple figures being more appealing to children because there are multiple figures, which I'm not sure how that even works.
Okay.
And they also compared the size of the 12-ounce can to Coca-Cola in saying that also would appeal to children because the cans are the same size. I'm like, you're telling me that two 12-ounce cans being the same size means that both appeal to children equally? It just, I don't know what to think about this kind of stuff.
Against something like that, they'll find ridiculous reasons, like saying, well, look at this can size. It's just like the size of a can of Coke. And they say these things with a straight face.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's just the fact that anything is animated, anything is drawn, it's not hyper realistic. Somehow children are going to be drawn to it like a magnet. I'm skeptical of that. It looks meme-ish to me because it's got the two figures and they're kind of giving each side eye glances. I think that's the whole concept behind it.
We can't show a picture on the radio, but if you're familiar with Mikkeller and their art, it's just typical Mikkeller art. It doesn't look like it's anything, it's not like it's Hello Kitty or some kitty kind of thing that would be appealing.
Cute characters. One guy's got the typical Mikkeller hat on, and I'm not sure if it's a cowboy hat or what it is, but I don't see anything that's overtly childish about it, other than it's kind of a style that's maybe not super sophisticated in terms of like shading and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I found in looking at it, I think that there's this organization called the Portman Group that's kind of been behind this and behind other things, changing labels and things like that, pushing it. And I think they had a hand in pushing this. It turns out that this Portman Group is actually a front for what looks to me like a front for big beer and big whiskey to beat up on craft without any bad press. So they can call them out without getting their name attached to it.
I don't believe that because they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't do that.
That's big beer is never going to do.
Yeah, the Portman Group members like Asahi, Bacardi, Budweiser, Diageo, Heineken, Jägermeister, and Brown Forman, those guys would never do anything like that. So
Youngwon, what is the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen in beer as far as laws go, or restrictions or laws?
Oh,
a tough question.
yeah.
So many
I've been
choices.
trying to stay on the safe side, so I didn't really get into an issue with that yet.
Okay, yeah. See, he's like, I'm just going to behave.
He
man.
does play it safe
He
with his
doesn't
labels.
know
They
who
look
could be
good, but
listening.
Yeah, exactly.
So he doesn't want to out there because they'll just start rejecting all these labels.
Yes,
when
they
it
don't
comes out.
alienate the TTB just yet.
He's like, there's nothing. You know, we see things like ABV laws
Yes.
in certain states, and I think that is hilarious because they bring up the children. It's always about the children, and they'll say that, like in Georgia, Youngwon, we have a 14% cap, so we can't go over 14% on any of our beers. And we've talked like Avery makes some really nice high ABV beers.
Absolutely.
The brewery, you know, it was recently Black Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a big boozy beer, and they're nice, but the kids are not going to be getting their booze fix off $40 bottles of beer.
Absolutely.
They're going to be getting the plastic pints of, 80 proof vodka. That's going to be the direction they go.
Exactly. For a
I
fraction.
mean,
of
I
the
guess
price.
one issue that I kind of had is that I have a couple of followers from South Korea that wanted to buy our beer and then just get it themselves. But because the beer label only has California address, the Korean customs wouldn't approve it under the free trade agreement. So they actually have to pay high tax. So if you look at my label right now, it actually says made in USA. So I had a habit of just putting made in USA in there, just in case if there's a country out there, somebody wants to just get it for fun. We have that so that they could save on tax.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Little bitty things like that.
And that's a weird beer law. Yeah.
I mean, for us, it's made in California. It's like, obviously this is a USA product, right? But
exactly.
For country to country, it has to specifically say made in USA.
Interesting. See? Yeah, these
no
little
idea.
things. Along those lines, we have a local brewery here that made beer for the Korean market, Red Brick.
Oh, that's right. Oh, was
They
it Korean or Japanese?
I'm almost positive
Korean
it was
market.
Korean.
Okay.
But it was the brand was Laughing Skull, and I'm sure you'll know much more about this than we do, Youngwon, but I think they said there was some cultural implications with the skull or the skeleton they had on their can, and that they had to redo it because it was not approved over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah,
Definitely.
So if you have something like skeleton or skull, I think I did have that. I used to be a spirits importer, so when there was a crystal skull, the vodka bread in a skull, I think they had a hard time trying to get that imported in South Korean market.
Interesting, man. These little things, you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the kid eating the oatmeal on the founders.
That's right.
Breakfast. I think it was Texas.
Texas had them change it. I think they removed the kid. You know what? I not 100% sure. I haven't looked at the beer in a while, but they may have removed the kid from all the labels across the country at this point.
I don't know.
Just as
sure.
Other people having the same issue.
Yeah.
So.
Say we don't want to have any troubles.
Yeah.
He's eating. There's no telling what could be in that bowl that kid's eating.
Exactly. It's like it could be oatmeal, but it could also be Black Tuesday.
Methamphetamine.
Or methamphetamines. Methamphetamines and Black Tuesday together. Yeah.
Yes. Great combination.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, you are listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be back very soon with Dokkaebier. Good stuff.
Yeah.
We had a stout one time from Against the Grain, I think it was, that had Vietnamese black tea, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah,
it was nice in there. So
did I send you guys stout?
I think it's a milk stout in there. We didn't actually get to the beers of the week. Yeah, there's a milk stout in there.
It's a milk stout with cardamom and peppercorn. So it's going to be sweet. You get that spice.
Awesome. Yeah, we've got the dip of the bamboo Pilsner, Yuzu Blonde, milk stout, and lemon ginger kettle sour. So we got it.
I would drink gallons of this bamboo Pilsner. I like this.
I'm thinking, I see you over there at the fridge, Nate. I'm betting the Yuzu Blonde is probably next in the order. Yep. There we go.
Does sound good. I haven't had, since since the time where a lot of places were doing some riff on yuzu beer or yuzu in flavors in beer. I haven't had yuzu since then, so it's been a few years since I've had any yuzu related thing.
It's been a minute. It happens.
Yeah, I'm excited to give that a shot again.
To be honest, there's a lot of fruits that I've discovered due to beer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I've never had passion fruit before.
It wasn't even on my
beer.
radar. The only thing I knew about passion fruit is as I used to listen to the Adam Carolla podcast and he used to rant about passion fruit being added to iced tea.
He did. Yes.
He was on the show at one point.
He was on the show, and I asked him about that. You know, when he did a beer, that's Adam Carolla did a beer, and I asked him if it had passion fruit in it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he found the humor. I'm not sure he found the humor.
He probably gets taunted about that a fair amount, but yeah. You know what? It's I've since that I've discovered how great it is in terms of flavor, fresh, and how weird and disgusting it looks at the same time. It looks atrocious and it tastes beautiful. So yeah.
Youngwon, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking the Pilsner right now.
Okay.
As something to start at the end of the day. You know, when you're thirsty, it goes down pretty well.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yeah. I
agree
about
with
those,
you,
man. I'm all about a good Pilsner. Yeah, we were
let me
just
get some of
talking about lagers. There was Jeff Allworth, the author of the Beer Bible and Beervana blog, just recently came through Atlanta, and he was posting about it on Twitter. And then someone asked him, what's the, what are they known for there? What are they known for? And somebody said, well, I think his response is like IPAs are king everywhere. And I would say that I would agree with that. But I think we got Youngwon, we have a strong lager game.
We do
in Georgia.
Yeah.
I think. How is the lager scene in the Bay Area? Is it pretty popular there now?
I think you're seeing more and more. I think there was whole IPA and then haze craze, right? So, but I think people are trying to be more unique and innovative. So there are a lot of ingredients, but also there are like breweries that are just going a little bit more back to the classics, right? So going for the lagers, pilsners, and the traditional styles. Yeah, and then I think we're living in a world where like people kind of now do appreciate all these variety of flavors, not just hazy IPAs. So
weren't you saying, Tim, that Stone was like trying to refocus a fair amount on lagers?
So
I went looking for news to that effect, and I didn't read anything specific about it.
You probably should have read the link that I sent.
Yeah, I couldn't find that link. I thought you'd sent me something. I couldn't find it. But yes,
I forget the name of it, but they've got I guess it's a family of brands that are like seltzers and lagers, and they said that's gonna be their focus. They're really going to push that.
I did see something about that where they said they would prioritize that. But they also mentioned all the IPA stuff they were coming out with. I'm like, well, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm not seeing that become king necessarily, but it's a huge deal for them, which they had a quote in there where the Greg Cook, he was saying he basically insulted the stuff at the same time, thinking we never thought that they would get into seltzers. I'm like, that's very Greg Cook. Yeah.
Well, when I heard that news, I'm like, there's no way Stone is going to quit doing IPAs. It's just not going to happen. So, but prioritizing marketing that, I bet their IPAs already have a substantial market. So they want to get the new lagers, the seltzers, whatever it may be, and get those marketed a little bit more.
I mean, so.
The IPAs are such a big brand now where, they're going to put more effort and attention to the new SKUs.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Put the new stuff out there. Let people know about the new stuff.
Well, how long is it going to be before we see a Dokkaebier seltzer? I mean, is that coming? Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about it. So, we have this white label. I think the Yuzu Blonde you're drinking right now has a white label. Does it have a white label or yellow?
That's yellow
with a white center on it there. Yeah.
Okay. So we also have these. I don't have it right now.
We do have one in the fridge, a white label one.
The lemon ginger. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I do is that all these white labels are experimental beers. So it has number from 1 through 26, I think. And, whatever that's popular, we redesign the package and, release it again. So the Bamboo Pilsner was actually our batch number 3. And then the Yuzu Blonde was, I think, I forget the number, 23, 24. It was so popular, we just decided to rebrand it and, come out again.
Yeah.
So
I like your
definitely
branding.
Along the way, I want to do some, non-beer or anything, we want to do it for fun.
Sure. Have a good time with it. I like I was just saying, I like the branding. I like clean, clean, sharp. I'm a big fan of that. The bamboo Pilsner can is cool.
I'd like to see
That's dope.
the bamboo Pilsner in one of those super tall boys, the 19.2. So it looks a little bit more like a section of a bamboo shoot.
What about like an 8-foot tall can?
Oh, there you go. An
Like,
8-foot tall can.
Yeah. But it's only a 12-ounce can. It's just real
It's very skinny.
thin. Can I get a Dokkaebier? Sure.
Yeah. You could make that happen, right?
That's
That wouldn't
it.
be,
We'll
that
make
wouldn't
a-
be
you know what?
cost prohibitive
We'll do-
at all.
Like a stackable cans. So it actually
There you
looks like
go. Yeah.
those bamboo trees.
Yes, the segments in there. Exactly.
Get them so rigged up so you can stack them on top of each other, open the top, and it automatically opens the whole way down through.
Yes.
It locks them into place. If you can come up with that, that's marketing.
A beer
genius.
centipede there,
Exactly.
as it
Beer
were.
centipede.
The question is, are you gonna put a straw on the bottom of it, or are you gonna lift the whole contraption?
Oh, you probably lift the whole thing, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
You'd have to
I mean,
lock them all in, and then you're going to drink like this.
I guess if
You'll
you had a
understand it.
long enough straw, you could give it a shot. But yeah, I think that.
Who drinks beer with a straw?
Well, reportedly, people have said if you drink beer with a straw, it gets you drunker faster. That was a rumor that went around when I was much younger.
That
Yeah.
sounds ridiculous.
I think it's silly, but who knows? Honestly, with that sort of thing.
I mean, it's not going to increase the alcohol. It's not
No.
like you're fermenting
Well,
in a straw.
I think that the idea was it did something about drinking it that way accelerated the rate at which it got into your bloodstream. Obviously, there wouldn't be any more alcohol. It would just work faster. Now, I don't know how on earth that could possibly work. I just know that as a younger Brian, I heard that and I think I tried it
And started drinking his beer through a straw.
yeah. At
That's
one
what
point in time, I tried it and I'm like, I can't tell. I mean, I am drinking fast already, so it's hard to know if it's the straw or just the rate of speed of which I'm drinking that's actually
Yes.
doing this. So
Ah,
the world may never know.
Right.
Science.
Exactly.
Of the science, everybody who tries to test it gets drunk and forgets what they've done. So
guess so,
the
man.
research never
guess
gets written
so.
up. I think that's what happens.
Crazy. All right. Shall we get back into this? Get into the next segment? Here we go.
Yes.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Shake it back!
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand. So if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on all popular and unpopular podcasting apps. Now let's get back to Dokkaebier.
Dokkaebier with Youngwon Lee. Youngwon, I have just opened your Yuzu Blonde here, pouring that. So can you tell us a little bit about this beer?
Oh yeah, so we wanted to make something because there are so many IPAs out there. We wanted to try something that's light, refreshing, and easy to drink, and especially also appeal to maybe perhaps non-beer drinkers. So we decided to make a series of blonde ales, and the first one was obviously we decided to go with Yuzu, which also is called Yuza in Korean, and
Okay.
it gives like sort of a lemony citrus, but also a sort of a sweet note to it. And I thought that would be a perfect fruit to be used for a blonde ale.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not
It's very
not
pleasant.
sugary sweet. The
Correct.
fruitiness, little sweetness, little fruitiness there. It does play very well.
This does
We're
make me
gonna-
think. Oh, go ahead. Like this, and I'm like, I like that yuzu or yuza quality. Like, I'd like to see that in a saison. I mean, it's great here,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah,
It'd be
wouldn't that
tasty.
be great in a
It
saison?
would be good with a saison. I'd have
I
to
say that
agree.
because I just had a saison earlier.
Yes, yes, sometimes the wonderful saison. Youngwon, the name Dokkaebier, I know it's derived from. I'm not going to say this right, but it's Dokkaebier or Dokkaebier is in Korean, correct?
Mm-hmm. It's
Can
called
you-
Dokkaebier.
Okay. Can you tell us what a Dokkaebier is and how that relates to Dokkaebier?
Yeah. So Dokkaebier are Korean mythical creatures that likes to hide in the objects during the daytime and comes out at night, hangs out with people, eat, drink, and then help good people, punish the bad. And when I was thinking about creating our brand, I wanted to do something with sort of a Korean heritage that could also represent who we are. And I thought Dokkaebier was perfect fit. In fact, my wife actually gave me the idea to use a name, and I said, well, since we're a beer company, let's add er to it. And surprisingly, it's spelled Bier, so which is like the German way, but also you could obviously see it's a beer company, and they're known to be like the wanderers and shapeshifters, adventurers, and that's what I wanted to do in terms of being innovative, trying different ingredients. And because we don't have our own brewery, we're Gypsy Brewing right now. We're sort of the wanderers, and by adding ER, we're just kind of like acting like the Dokkaebies. And it's a small wordplay, but I thought it kind of aligns with what I wanted to do as a company.
I did a little research on the Dokkaebies, and it says they were mischievous troublemakers, like they were good-natured but troublemakers, right?
Right.
Does that fit for Dokkaebier as well?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
If they're shaking up the market,
there.
they're what do they call it? Disrupting the beer market. Then that makes sense. I was trying to get a sense of like, are they things that are liked? Are they things that are disliked? Or are they just kind of a catch-all? Like if something goes a bit awry, you just blame those Dokkaebies. It's like, oh, they got me again. How do they figure into day-to-day life?
Because this is like rooted in like folklore, and then there were not much written like stories around it. Depending on which region you go to, they're sometimes revered as a god to help you with like fishing and whatnot. And then there are sometimes they come out at night, hang out with people, and a lot of times you remember hanging out with them, but when you wake up in the morning, you kind of don't remember their face, right? So it's kind of within you, and then it's they're in your life, but they're kind of they kind of disappear.
That sounds a lot like a night out drinking too. It's like
it does.
I remember
I
was with somebody.
I don't remember what they look like or the name. It must have been Dokkaebi.
But I was it. That's it. That's what you can blame it on now.
Yeah.
It was not the 14 stouts.
No, not at all. The 14% stouts.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Youngwon, what led you to start in a brewery?
Yeah. So I started. I got into alcohol industry when I was 19 years old in South Korea. And in Korea, it's a legal age to drink. And it started with the wine, and then it led to, spirits. So I ended up being like a wine and spirits importer for brands like Stolichnaya, Armand de Brignac, Ace of Spades, Patron, Tito's Vodka. And then I used to run a bottle shop, restaurant, whatnot. And I had an opportunity to come back to the States to run a brewery. And I really thought it was really fun compared to like, selling other alcohol products, because, you could always get, consumer feedback and make something new, something innovative. Whereas, wine, you harvest, grape, and then you sell it for, same product over and over. Whereas, beer, I think the industry was very open to trying something new, but also very collaborative, and then becoming sort of a one community and, helping one another. So that's what I thought was really welcoming. And when I started working, and as I worked more, I started experimenting with these Asian ingredients on a couple of our beer flavors, and it had a really good sort of feedback from the customers. So when I started this company, I said, hey, when I start Dokkaebier, I'm actually going to be more Asian, more original in my own way to represent the beer that I like. So, with that, we said we are going to focus being more of an Asian-inspired brewery, and let's use all these ingredients that was never used in the beer market. So we started experimenting with, the bamboo leaves, yuzu, lemongrass, peppercorn, sometimes kimchi, ginger, chili powder. And thankfully, they've been pretty good so far, except, one experimental batch that we actually failed. But so far, so good.
No, you got to back up now, man. We got to know about this one that failed.
I think
man.
I heard about this.
Okay.
Is this the fish sauce one? Was it fish sauce?
Oyster sauce.
Oyster sauce. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was close, and it was a sauce of some kind.
Okay. I went fish sauce in the right dose is fantastic in dishes. When I do my cheap 59-cent ramen, I add some toasted sesame oil, a little drop of fish sauce in there, and some garlic, and it really brings it to life there.
That sounds great to me.
But I was at a local pho place, and they had what I thought was sesame oil on the table, and I poured a big spoonful of it and was going to taste it and like sipped it out. And fish sauce sipped directly is not delicious.
Not delicious. Okay.
It's not. You
Does
don't
it
wanna do
taste like
shots.
fish? It's like
It's pungent.
very
I mean,
pungent
it's
fish.
I don't even know that it was really fishy. It's just a very pungent, sharp,
Okay.
sharp sauce. So
I'm not a
yeah.
big cooker, so I
Pungent,
don't
sharp,
know.
salt.
Yeah, salty and pungent there. So, which in small doses is great to add some character to your dish, but maybe not to do shots, Brian.
Probably not shot. Oh, like you could do it like pickleback though, right? A fish sauce
Man,
back,
I just
right?
don't see the point.
I mean, it could be all right. I mean, it could be, this could be the next big internet challenge. I hope this shows up on TikTok.
The fish sauce challenge.
I hope that a lot of people on TikTok do this. I won't see it because I'm not on TikTok.
I was gonna say
but-
that's just because of your hatred of TikTok.
Yeah, it's pretty much
right?
because I hate TikTok and I want them to do
Yeah.
bad things to themselves. But hey, that's beside the point. So
Okay. Fair enough. Right now you are in California. You're based out of the Bay Area, correct?
Mhm.
You started as a pop-up, is that right?
Yeah, so I knew that starting a brewery would be very capital intensive, and what I wanted to do is that build kind of a community, and like the Dokkaebier, where like we want to wander around. So we started with the idea of contract brewing, gypsy brewing. So me and my team, our brewer, we decided to come out with our own recipes and reach out to local breweries with extra capacity. That way, it's a win-win for everyone. And also we get to kind of experiment with all different types of ingredients and flavors.
That's awesome. That's fun.
So you were planning because the pandemic happened and the tap room or the pop-up tap room had to close. Are you still planning on having a permanent location, or are you going to stick with the whole contracting / gypsy brewing thing?
I think we will try both. So we actually opened up last year, February 7th. That was a first day of San Francisco Beer Week, and then the whole pandemic happened. And what I did is that we did sort of Asian inspired beer, as well as I did Korean tapas for the food, because I realized going to all these breweries, it's always pizza and burger. And I was like, well, let me just do some Korean food. And I think that's even going to be more interesting for a lot of customers. But because of pandemic, we decided to pull out from the tap room and then just focus on beer distribution. But now I'm actually getting ready. I just had a meeting with a spot today, for possible, brew pub.
That'd be cool.
Very
That'd be
cool.
fun.
Yeah, I gotta say that I love the idea of Korean tapas, just because I don't know Korean food that well. But if I wanted to be introduced to a new type of food, especially with very unique flavors, I think the tapas is the best way to do it. It's like a food flight, like a beer flight, food flight.
I love tapas because like you said, it's like a food flight. I don't need a 32-ounce porterhouse is impressive to look at. Give me 2 ounces of steak and 2 ounces of this and two. I'm much happier. But
exactly.
We're going to talk some about those Korean tapas, but in just a couple of minutes, Brian. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be back very soon with more from Dokkaebier. Dokkaebier.
Yes.
I like saying the name.
I do
like
too.
saying
Yeah.
Dokkaebier.
It's a fun name.
It's fun.
Rolls
It
off
is.
the tongue. Mischievous.
A lot of people, especially for Korean people, my friends, they're worried about it. Like, if you name it that way, who's going to be able to read it or write it or pronounce it? But I said it's going to be challenging in the beginning, but once you learn it, you're not going to be able to unlearn it. And we're going to be very unique word that everyone later on, they're not going to mix up with other brands, but it's going to be just wholly owned by us. So it's just harder, but I decided to stick with that.
Well, and the name itself and the exact pronunciation isn't the bigger deal. The bigger deal is you've got your logo, and all somebody has to do is, if I saw that on the shelf, I'd know exactly what it is. I can't read Korean, but I'd see that logo. I'm like, I know that's Dokkaebier. I know exactly who that is. I'm going to grab some of it.
Recognition.
So exactly, you got very recognizable things going on. Yeah, I mean, honestly, could be a little easier for the white folks to say, but
I don't.
You know what?
I didn't have. I. You know what? I may have said Dokkaebier or Dokkaebier or something like that. But I think I would have been close enough to get the point across was a thing. So,
right. Yeah, perfect.
So when
and I told
out,
them, hey, look at all the German beers. You're not going to be able to read any of them unless you actually know how to pronounce
Germans and Belgians. No. Some of my favorite beers, I can't say the names of properly. So,
So you need to do a collaboration beer with the band Dokken. Dokkaebier. That's at work. Are they even still a band? I have no idea.
He may charge us for the consulting for having to listen to this, man.
See, that idea is completely free. Please don't use it because it might
Dokkaebier.
be bad for your business. Yeah, I just came to mind because I this looked familiar. I like something about it's like, oh, it's a band. Yeah, there was a band that had obviously not the same, but very
I'm
similar.
thinking that they're lemon ginger. Now.
Oh yeah.
I bet that's does that sound like the right one,
Yeah.
Youngwon? The
Sure.
lemon ginger, I think is the way that's pronounced.
Yeah, exactly. I believe that's exactly right.
Limon ginger kettle sour.
Exactly. All right.
So
Now
for the kettle sour, oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
So for this beer and the kimchi sour, we said, hey, let's make a kettle sour, and why don't we just pull out the culture from kimchi?
That's
our
what I was
brewer
gonna
makes,
ask.
kimchi at home.
Yeah.
So we decided to pull out the culture, isolated the lacto, and then made a kettle sour. And for the kimchi sour, we added ginger and chili. So it's not spicy, but you just get the hint of the ginger and then chili. But you have that just the right amount of tartness and refreshing, like the kettle sour taste of it. This one, we decided, okay, we're gonna stick with the base recipe, but let's use lemon and ginger this time.
Nice. Yeah, we have a brew pub here that did a kettle sour where they cultured theirs off their house-made sauerkraut. So they cultured the lactobacillus out of that. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I had a thought about this, and I was debating whether or not I'd bring it up in the show, whether I'll bring it up here. But what do you think about doing a riff on this, like with caraway seeds, and it would be like a sauerkraut riff.
That's not Korean.
I know. I know. I'm going off
worse than normal.
That's right.
Today.
But I saw the kimchi thing, and I thought, well,
it's Korean, Brian. Stick
I
with
know,
the theme
I know,
here.
but with the fermentation and the
attention?
lactose, no, not at all.
You're
really.
just trying to get a thank you,
exactly.
Thank you, Nate.
I wanted to do a collaborative Dokken on a sauerkraut beer. Yes.
You know what? Mute his mic. He's not even allowed on the rest of the show. Have you thought about Brian? Going to ask a Korean-inspired brewery if he's ever thought about doing a sauerkraut beer. Good.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
I was actually muted there for a minute. I think it's a great idea, but I'm curious. I really am curious what a kettle sour or caraway beer would taste like, because I like sauerkraut and I like caraway. Caraway doesn't necessarily have to be a German or a. Do you use?
Can mute him again, please?
Do you use caraway? You're killing me. Use caraway in Korean cooking at all? Is that an ingredient?
I'm not familiar with it. I have to look it up.
I don't think so.
I have no idea. I don't cook at all. So, and my knowledge of Korean food is fairly limited.
Brian going to say, you ever thought about a sauerkraut beer?
Again, all I'm saying is I saw what he did with the kimchi, where it's not reportedly not flavored identically to kimchi, but it has some of the similar the base components in there. I'm like, you could do a little riff on the side of it. Just see.
Again, I want to reiterate that this is Korean inspired.
I know, but like Korean by way of
look at this. See the writing on the can.
I see that. I see that.
See that.
I'm just saying, don't be scared to try something new.
Yes.
Well, we are trying something.
Well, I mean, yes. All right, I didn't realize it would be. I'm glad this came up in between segments.
This I will hold this against you for as long as I know.
I'm waiting to see if he comes out with it. I'm gonna monitor his production. If he comes out with
don't give him that
caraway kettle sour, I'm gonna let you know about it. I will let you know.
If I do make one,
it
would have Brian name on the bottom of it.
There you go.
All right, I'm fine with that.
Yes.
And if they hate it, that's fine. It's just me with a thumb.
Can we compromise? Can he at least get a dunce cap on there as well? So the clown nose.
Come on. It's a great idea. You would love it. You'd love it. Everybody would love it.
Okay. All right. That's enough insanity. Let's see. All right.
Those crickets go on for a very long time.
They do. Yes.
All right. So this is 3.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Yes.
Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Cannonball coming.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout out to one of our great radio affiliates, WSLA 1560 AM and 93.9 FM in Slidell, Louisiana. Catch Beer Guys Radio on WSLA every Saturday at 8 a.m. Now let's get back to Dokkaebier.
Dokkaebier. Youngwon, when we went to break, we just chatted about tapas a little bit, like Korean tapas and beer. Kind of a two-part question for you. Very interested in Korean tapas, what you may have done there. And is beer popular in Korean culture? And I think I'm muddying the waters here. Those are two broad questions.
Yes.
Let's stick with the tapas now, and we'll go from there. What are some of the dishes you did?
With a Korean fried chicken and 3 different flavors. So just regular fried, as well as there's a Korean yangnyeom chicken, which is like sort of like a red sauce, but sweet and spicy at the same time. We also did some Korean style short rib, as well as kimchi fried rice or braised kimchi with pork. And what else did we do? Some Korean dessert with black sesame ice cream, as well as oyster flight. But our menu changed a little bit, before the pandemic and after the pandemic, because after the pandemic we just couldn't do any kind of a fresh seafood or anything like that.
I gotcha. Yeah.
We did some, fish, like raw fish as well, and then I wanted to make it more of a. The reason why I wanted to do tapas is that you go to any Korean restaurant, it's always like big serving meals, and for a non-Korean person to try for the first time, it's a little bit challenging. I wanted this to be your even if you're first time trying out Korean food, be able to try all different style of it, so you actually get to learn more about the cuisine, as well as have fun with it. Yeah,
sure. Now, were your beers that you make, were they made to pair with these dishes, or were dishes made to pair with the beers?
Yeah, I mean, especially for Korean fried chickens, you could pair any beer, but especially for the Bamboo Pilsner, that was one of the first beer that we released, and it paired really well. And we actually used the Bamboo Pilsner for the chicken batter.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Makes sense.
Good stuff.
So Tim was talking about it earlier. I'm going to steal that question. Are craft beers, especially the Western styles, are they popular in Korean culture, or are you looking to drink other things over there?
Past 5 year has been has been changing quite a lot. Before that, it was more of a Kasenheit, which is sort of the Budweiser Miller of Korea, and they were very dominant, along with soju. And Koreans drink a lot, and those were the dominant flavors. And there was a lot of tax regulations and restriction on opening up a craft brewery, and the tax was very heavy. But past 5 years, 10 years, that has been changing a lot. There was a lot of tax relief and movement, favoring the craft beer brewers. So now there are about, I would say, over 150 breweries in Korea. Okay. And more breweries are opening up. More breweries are getting innovative, but I think a lot of them are still basing their beer on an American craft beer style.
Okay. I'm curious. Why was there any particular reason why the taxes were so high on craft on beer production in Korea? Is it just non-traditional, I guess?
No, it was more to do with like a historical thing. Like here, a lot of our regulation, it may sound stupid, but some of them might be from Prohibition era, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
and some of that for alcohol is during like the Korean War. I think Korea didn't really have any rice or anything like that, so there were a lot of regulation of like using rice for making soju. So, Koreans had to find alternative ingredient to make soju, which is distilled spirit. And I think the beer was similar along that way. And it was favored to be mass produced. The tax was based on your sales price, not based on your volume or by liter. It was based on value. And, in order to open up a brewery, the regulation or the requirement to open up a brewery is that you had to have a huge fermenters. You couldn't start with the small fermenters. So it was favored to, mass produced and you're taxed higher if you actually had more premium product. But recently, I think either 2 or 3 years ago, they changed the regulation, and they're charging tax based on liters, based on the volume rather than the value of the product. So that actually really opened up a lot of doors for craft brewers to start their own, beer company.
That's awesome. It's
Okay.
good. It's
Yeah.
good to see, around the world when I get to talking to people, I find out that craft beer is breaking out almost everywhere. We've got several Russian followers on Instagram that'll chat, and it's big there. Craft beer is big there. India.
I have heard India is kind of up and coming.
I'm forgetting the name of the platform right now, but it's similar to like iTunes and that for India. Ghana, Gaana, I think. Something
Sounds
along those
familiar.
lines.
Yeah.
But we had our show launch on there, and they immediately became like our 5th or 6th largest source for our podcast downloads. So there's India's getting all over the craft beer, man. So everywhere it is, I joined this group on Facebook. It's called Friends of Froth. That is an Indian-based craft beer group. They have their meetups and bottle shares and everything. So beer's out there, man. Craft beer's everywhere.
That there is a huge market there of people that are really like, they've got Kingfisher and a few other options that are like that. Hayward's, Kingfisher, and they don't really Taj Mahal. I don't think they've got. They don't have they might, but they don't have nearly the quantity and the variety that we have. And I think there's a lot of interest in that sort of thing there. I thought it was interesting that discovered that Vietnam had a thriving craft beer scene years ago, like way before I would have expected.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I think it's even bigger now, but it's picking up everywhere. So
yeah. Good stuff. Youngwon, with your customer base, do you see more Korean or just others? Everybody? Do you attract a certain demographic with your beers?
Mm-hmm. I think we kind of appeal to all different, I guess, demographics right now.
Sure.
So existing craft beer drinkers like you guys, you find us interesting and kind of unique, and you try out for the first time. A lot of the past 10 years of that craft beer growth has come from, all these consumers trying out new things, right? And I think we fit really right well into that because, at the end of the day, you're having so many IPAs, right? And just similar, but different hops or different combination of it, but nothing unique enough to stand out. And, I think we stand out, we stick out pretty well in that sense. And, we get into our local grocery stores here because at the end of days, there's limitation on how many IPAs you could put it on the shelf. And also as a buyer, as a retailer, you also need to provide more of a diverse portfolio so you could appeal to more consumers. And I think we fall pretty well in there. There are also a lot of Asian Americans who don't drink craft beer, and they get to drink our product for the first time because it's also very interesting for them as well. It's a harder sales for me because going into Korean grocery store takes me 6 months to 1 year because it's usually run by first generation immigrant, elder. They don't know anything about craft beer. It's really expensive because they're used to selling like, Asahi, Sapporo, which is like Asian lager. And we need to be refrigerated and then, short shelf life. So when they look at it, it's like, oh, do I want to sell it? They get scared, and then I don't want to, throw this out and lose money on it. But when they start selling it, they love it because, we're the exclusive craft beer. And unlike what they expected, like a lot of consumers actually come and then try it for the first time. And, after a couple of months, I have one account. They don't even care what I bring. They just say, hey, this is
get them in there.
Space for you. Just fill it up with whatever you want. So,
awesome.
We actually own that space and I just go in and look at the fridge and, okay, I need to bring 5 cases. And I just come in, hey, here's a new product. Just enter the barcode. You got to sell this one at this price. Give me the price tag. I put it on and I put the everything by myself because he doesn't know anything about beer. He's like, hey, do your thing. And I love, and people are buying it.
Hey, it's selling,
It works. Yeah.
So I'm curious, which is your most popular beer with your Korean fans? And is that different than the rest of your fan base?
Yeah. So Korean people tend to like the Bamboo Pilsner more because it's more light, refreshing. It's somewhat easy stepping stone and upgrade from the, lagers, right? Whereas you go to non-Korean accounts, you already have a very developed taste profile, and they're more experimental. And especially like for our product like kimchi sour, you're already used to drinking sour. So you appreciate the fact that we're being different and innovative, and you're actually tasting it. And it's not that fruit sour anymore. It's something that's, different and unique on its own. So, we have a different, product that sells differently depending on what kind of restaurant, what kind of ethnic challenge it is.
You know what? That's actually kind of the way I expected it. I would think that a Korean may look at it and say kimchi sour, they know kimchi.
Yeah.
They know their kimchi. They may not be as ready to jump on board with that.
They want to eat it, not drink it.
They know their kimchi. Good, clean. Us guys, man, give us the kimchi sour. I got to get that.
Yes, I have to buy that. I have to try it.
Yes. Well, we need to take another break. You are listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We'll be back very soon with more from Dokkaebier.
I'm going to say so far, I'm agreeing with your Korean fan base. That Pilsner that I had initially, so far is my favorite. I say this again. I could drink gallons of
I
that.
like the lemon ginger too. I've liked them all.
I have not disliked a single one, but that first one initially spoke to me. It's like,
Okay.
Yep, this beer is here for me.
Cool.
I appreciate you, beer, for being here for me.
Thank you, beer.
Thank you, beer.
Uses your favorite goal, man.
Again, they've all been
for everyone.
Yeah, they've all been tasty, but yeah.
So a lot of our customers, we have like a variety pack where if you order it, it would have every single flavor of whatever beer that we're selling at the moment. And we get a lot of feedback saying, "Hey, I really love your beer, but this particular taste, I hate it." Right? This one, I love it. Yep. So it's we're kind of taking a journey together, and then you're also getting experimental with us and finding what you like, and you're also learning the ingredient with us. So I don't expect our beer to be loved by everyone, but it's I think everyone will remember us to be like a fun and exciting and unique beer brand.
Right.
And then you could also occasionally find your favorites.
The variety packs are always something I buy once because, all right, I can buy this variety pack. I can find out everything. But 99% of the time, there's one in there that is a standout favorite. And there's at least one that I'm like, I don't care for that. So then when I go back, and you know what gets me is sometimes my favorite one in there is a special seasonal that's only available.
Sam Adams used to do that with, I think it was the chocolate stout or the chocolate Bach. And the only way you get it was to buy the mixed cases. And I hated that. I didn't dislike any of the other beers. They were all okay.
But you wanted more of that
I wanted
beer.
That specific beer. And I think one year that they did finally release it, and it was impossible to find. So the blessing and the curse is once they finally isolated that, everybody bought it and you couldn't get it. At least in the mix pack, you could get it. So good and bad to both situations.
Right.
There. Yeah.
Youngwon, were you a home brewer before you got into this?
No, I was not.
That's because I know you said you got your brewer in that. So you knew you wanted to go with the beer thing, but you got someone to brew with you for you, correct?
Right.
Okay,
so
cool.
He's worked with me in my previous company. My specialty is more in the sales and marketing side, I would say, and operations.
Gotcha.
And with my experience selling, wine and spirits in the back in the days, I kind of know like what I want in terms of flavor profile. I could describe and experimental. Different stuff. And, I kind of openly discuss that with our brewer. And then, he's amazing at what he's doing. And, we come out with these recipes.
Good
stuff. I'm thinking about what we do next because we've got an option here. We got the Dippa, which I think is fairly standard Dippa, but we also have the milk stout that's got, was it the cardamom and peppercorn?
Peppercorn. Yeah.
Let's go stout. Segment 4. Let's stout it out.
Okay. I figured as much. That is more in keeping with the Korean theme, I think.
Yeah.
Intrigued by the Dippa. I am a big fan of the
I have
IPAs
a question, but I'm going to save it for the show.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to save it for the show.
Okay. Oh, hey. Hey, Steven.
Stephen Pete, Kettle Rock Brewing. Cheers. Thanks for joining us. Always appreciated.
He always drops in to say hi.
Maybe ask Steven to do your Caraway beer since he's not Korean.
Hey, this doesn't have to be. This is not limited to any particular race of people or whatever. Come on,
You're
anybody
trying to
can
be
do this.
inclusive over there.
I'm
aren't you,
being
Brian?
inclusive by forcing my weird sauerkraut ideas down everybody's throat.
Yes,
So
you're appropriating.
Yeah,
is what you're doing.
wait, who am I
I
appropriating?
think. Yes,
The Germans, or
You're trying to
because I'm a little
force
German? Oh,
a Korean brewery to do a German beer to fit your desires.
oh, okay. Well, that's not appropriate.
You know, our name ends with the BIER, so we could
Okay,
be, you know,
all
kind
right,
of German.
there for you.
Thank you for
He's
coming
there
and
to
bailing
save
me
you.
out. Thank you. Getting into hot water over here. I wasn't expecting to be thrown under the bus
occasionally-
by Tim.
Yeah, we occasionally get people asking us, like, is there like a German relation to our, you know, bread?
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah.
Channeling the beer part of Dokkaebier. We're going
Brian's
with
like, well,
sauerkraut.
there can be.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
notice
that one we
That's
actually it's toasty, and then you get on the back end you get the spice flavor from
Yep,
peppercorn and cardamom.
very nice.
it's one of our beer tenders is Hawaiian.
There
That's
you go.
Part of the way to Korea. I mean, that's
So
a
you
little.
do some
That's on the way.
Hawaiian theme.
Hawaiian thing. I think they
What's
have
it-
a
is it
Hawaiian theme.
Masubu? Is that the? It's like rice with spam and the seaweed wrap. Masabu, the appetizer.
Well, I
there.
know that
Yeah.
pog in general is a huge thing in, I believe it's Hawaii, right? Before it ever became a thing in IPAs over here.
Yes.
The whole pog juice
Yeah.
concept.
I wasn't asking about pog.
But I
I was
know.
asking about spam and rice.
I don't know the answer to that, Tim.
Okay.
I was trying to assist you with other things that are interesting.
Musubi, I think.
There we
MUSUBI. Yeah.
See, okay,
Musubi,
there we go.
okay.
We've got a little place here called, I think it's called Waikiki Grill, right? But
Sounds right.
misspelled, intentionally misspelled from what the owner told us. But
Okay.
they do the Hawaiian plates and stuff. Chicken katsu. I'll take a little top off there. Man, I can't remember anything tonight. I should give up.
I'm trying to remember. I don't recall that.
Katsu.
It's been a while.
I know
I've tr-
everything comes with macaroni salad.
yeah, it's true.
Apparently, that's tradition.
And I do
So,
remember there being, oh man,
like barbecue pork, like a teriyaki pork with rice, and you get your scoop of mac salad.
and I've tried going there several times, and I don't know that they weren't ever open. They were still closed for pandemic reasons.
The
And it's
Hawaiian
been a while.
barbecue
Yeah,
place,
yeah.
was it? Okay.
They were closed for quite a while, so
Interesting.
I assume that they didn't go out of business. I hope they didn't. I like that
I
place.
hope not. That was
Yeah.
a cool little joint. Nice people there. Seg 4, right? Youngwon, we are getting ready to go into the last segment. We are going to talk a little bit more about your beer, of course. Things going on here. Is there anything we have not mentioned you want us to make sure we do mention?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good stuff.
All righty. Let's see. What do we got left here?
Maybe
Maybe we
one
can
thing is that like a diversity in craft beer industry. Maybe
Yes.
that's
Yes.
one good
Yeah,
topic.
absolutely. Let's definitely talk about that for sure.
Mhm.
Cool. Good deal.
Okay.
All right, Nate, we're ready when you're ready, Nate.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
What in tarnation?
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now let's get back to Dokkaebier.
Dokkaebier, Youngwon, we have opened your milk stout here, and I see some lettering on the front. So what does the lettering on the front of this can say?
It says Hana, which is one.
One. Okay.
Yeah.
And I see below that in English it says one community. So is there a mission for this beer?
Yeah. So we actually have another label just for the milk stout, but this one was a special limited edition that we made to support the local nonprofit, a Korean nonprofit that actually helps out with other nonprofits here in the Bay Area. So we wanted to make a beer that's dedicated for them, and then also donate the proceeds from this beer to that organization.
Cool.
Oh,
That's
that's
awesome,
very
man.
cool.
And this has, I know you said cardamom, and is it green peppercorns?
Uh-huh.
So cool. Man.
You've done
Cool.
a variety that has. Is there another variety that doesn't use green peppercorns, like a different kind of peppercorn, or is it all the same?
So there's like a green peppercorn, black, and then also Szechuan peppercorn, which has like the reddish color and then more, flavors.
Yeah.
Have you used all of them in the milk stout, or just the green? So
Not
far?
yet. For this one, green, and then we also have a series of wheat beers that we make, and some of them has a black or sometimes different peppercorns.
So I'm intrigued by that, knowing that there's all the variety of peppercorns. I don't know my peppercorns that well. Why green of the variety that's available?
Yeah, I mean, for this particular, stout, that's the flavor profile with the cardamom. Without that would go better, together. So that's what the reason why we chose the green peppercorn.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's also pink peppercorns, Brian.
Yeah.
A little fruity. Little
Yeah, I've noticed
mild
that.
fruity.
This is nice. It has a nice little lingering peppery finish.
It does.
Yeah,
It's tasty.
It's very enjoyable.
Youngwon, we've talked a lot about the fact that you're Korean inspired, Korean flavors, everything that you're bringing to your beer, and a topic in craft beer, diversity, just along craft beer. Brian is the poster child for the stereotypical craft beer nerd.
Yes.
There with his beard, the white dude with the beard.
Exactly.
But we're seeing here in Atlanta, we're fairly diverse. I think we may not see as much. I know there's still issues, but we are here a fairly diverse community in brewing. Where you are, how diverse is it? And was diversity one of your goals in starting Dokkaebier?
It was not the goal initially, but I think it's becoming more of my mission. When I worked at the previous company, when I go to all these beer festivals, I was like literally the only Asian guy there, right? And
Right.
I'm skinny. I'm like the one that stand out at all these beer festival at the booth. And whenever I go to make a beer delivery to all these craft beer tap rooms, as soon as I walk in, everyone's looking at me. Hey, what's this dude doing over here, right? And I was like, oh, everyone's looking at me. Let me just grab a beer, and I go to a bar, talk to a bartender, and kind of speak about our company, right? And everyone's kind of drinking their beer, but with their like ears open to my conversation.
Sure. Gotcha.
And everyone would walk out with the 4-packs. And I thought that was okay. Well, I'm being different, and I'm unique in the space, and let me use that to my advantage. And that was just sort of going, growing. That mind was growing in my, idea was growing in me. And when I decided to, start this, well, actually being who I am to the most of it would make our brand and what I do stand out more. So that's what I did, because I thought being unique is really important as a brand. And I thought if anyone were to do this concept, who's going to do better? I'll probably do it, because I don't see any other Asian guy working in the beer industry.
Right.
And it's going to be weird for a non-Korean guy to come out with kimchi sour. Right?
This is true.
That just doesn't,
Yes.
kind of relate. So, that's what I started. And with the more I kind of work on it, and, especially with the hate crimes last year, and then the, movements and whatnot, it's becoming more of a mission, right? And I think if the more I can succeed, and then the more our beer goes abroad, and then more famous it is, and I think that would also give, I think, better influence and more diversity to the industry. And I randomly get people like come to our booth, and then come to me and say, hey, I really wanted to work in the beer industry, and I'm not white. I'm Asian, and it's hard for me to really get my foot into that industry. And I would love to be part of what you're doing. And when I hear that, it really gives me more energy, and it gives me more mission to really, hey, this is not only a business opportunity. I really want to make it happen, and actually open up more doors to whoever that wants to work in the industry, and give that more diversity, and give that more culture to what we do and where we are.
That's awesome. And there's such people are great about diversity with food. Like they're gonna seek out Korean. There's an Ethiopian joint here that I love, Indian food, all these flavors. we're just covered up, loaded up with the hazy IPAs, with the standard beers out there. There's so much. I love that you're doing this, Youngwon, because I like finding you're taking a beer that I'm familiar with, bringing something new to it. So I have some familiarity. I know a little bit what to expect, but it brings another layer to it for me. And was always what was so fun about beer for me. Was new. Yeah. It's new. It's exciting. You hang out with your friends and you try something new.
Beer has increasingly lately become a little bit more about uniformity. Everybody wants the heavily fruited sour and they want the hazy IPA. I think part of the attraction earlier on, like you were saying, was uniqueness. We wanted, back in the extreme beer days, and like people were putting peppercorns in triples, Belgian triples, that sort of thing. And we were looking for that. I don't see that as much anymore. And I'd actually kind of like to see us return to that sort of thing. I think people are playing a little more safe. I have no hate for people going to traditional styles. The lagers, love those too. But I think there's plenty of room for interesting experimental new flavors, new people, to come into the industry and liven things up.
Right. Is there anything you can think of, Youngwon? I think you kind of covered there in the general sense that craft beer could do to be more welcoming. Are there any opportunities out there that what can we do? As the typical white dudes with 1.0 beards over here.
But I think it was always welcoming to me. I thought it was like the most welcoming industry, and being collaborative and helping one another. When we have this beer guild beer forum, and anyone runs out of hop, they put it up. Everyone comes, hey, come here, I'll drop it off, pick it up, and we're always helping each other. So I think it was always welcoming, but I think we were not intentional in terms of being ethnically diverse. And I think a lot of that is actually happening, and I think it's really changing. And I wish I think it's always hard for whether you're minority or not, because I also had a staff back in the days. He was local white, and he wanted to really work at a brewery, but he never had a chance to work at a brewery. And he's like, everyone says I need to have an experience to work at a brewery, but how do I make an experience when I cannot even start my job, right?
Yes.
And this is a white guy who just got out of college, and he really wanted to work at a brewery. And I think just being that open-minded and giving that opportunity and just being fair to everyone, whether it doesn't matter what background you are, what ethnicity you are, and where you're from, right? And I think working in this industry or like the alcohol business long enough is that sometimes it's not the experience, it's the passion, right? And I think experience is something that you could learn and then you could have within like 3 months, 6 months. And then it's the passion that would actually make, the level, the same, whether you're a 1 year veteran or a 3 year. It's if you have a more passionate person that started the last, 6 months, that could be far more advanced in, your knowledge about the beer or about the industry if you have the passion. So, I always say it's going to be hard to get in, but always follow your heart and be passionate about it. And if you knock on the door enough, you find your way. And I think we're ready for that now.
Be determined.
Yeah.
You know what? When Brian and I were
don't take no for an answer.
Yes. Well, when Brian and I were homebrewing a lot, one thing we would do, if there was a style that we didn't know or something, we would go to the brewers that we respected here locally and say, hey, can I ask you a question? And we'd ask, what I want to do this. What do I need to do to make this happen? What I need to do. There was Will Avery, who at the time was a brewer at Burnt Hickory Brewery, actually got to the point I'd walk into the brewery. He's like, not you again. Leave me alone, man. Not today. I'm like, no, Will, no, I got a question. You. He's like, you always have a question for me. But we became better homebrewers. We became better at what we're doing. And our constant pestering and learning more about beer, Brian, now we sit around and run our mouths about beer.
Exactly.
So it's a good time. Like I said, be persistent, get in there. And that's something Brian and I are going to have different perspectives on diversity because of who we are. We haven't been on the other side of some of these things. I tried to see that. We've had shows about diversity. We have a diverse friends group that in the brewing community here. And I think it's great to see that, bring your unique perspective, because these white dudes can only dry hop with so many hops. You know,
we can only put so much fruit puree into these Berliners before we,
That's
we run
right.
out of. Yeah,
need new
exactly. We need to
fruits.
know about yuzu. We had no
Yes.
idea. We've been
Yeah.
doing the same passion fruit for, 6 months now.
Pog it
So,
up, man.
Exactly.
Just pog it up. Absolutely. Youngwon, what is next for Dokkaebier?
So we want to find our home. So definitely either a tap room or a brew pub. So that we could call it as a home. But also we want to open up more channels. Want to be available outside of California as well, and that way we could grow fast enough and also open up more opportunities for other people to join the team and spread the love.
Good stuff. Awesome. And if people want to keep up with what's going on, what's the best way for them to do that?
Follow our Instagram or come to our website, enjoydkb.com.
Easy enough. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. That about wraps it up, Brian, for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio. We're taking next week off, y'all. It is the holiday. We're going to enjoy Thanksgiving with our families. We hope that you do as well. For more craft beer info, follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a great holiday. Cheers. Clear. There we go. We
Indeed.
did it. Awesome, man. Thanks for sharing with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
We got to get to that dippa now.
Absolutely. Youngwon, hang with us just a second. We're gonna go offline with the stream here, and we'll be right back. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us for the stream. Come back. We will not be here next week.
Not next week.
We're week after next, though. Fun show, big show, Brian. It is our annual Christmas beer blind tasting.
That's right.
So that's
Love
going to
that.
be a good one.
Yep.
Grab your Christmas beers. Come back and join us. Hang
Your
out
winter
with us.
warmers, even.
Your
Yep.
winter warmers, your Christmas beers, your stouts.
Yes.
Whatever you enjoy for the holidays. We don't care.
Any of that dark, seasonal, spicy, enjoyable,
absolutely.
rich stuff. Yeah.
Everyone, we hope you have a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Cheers.